The Uhuru Kenyatta administration grand corruption of the COVID heist and the fuel subsidy heist is unfolding and at a very fast rate. In the last 5 years of his tenure, President Kenyatta's administration under the Jubilee Party teamed up with Raila Odinga of the ODM party, and both teams came up with the famous handshake, with the former Prime Minister assuming that he was the second in command, an office that had no government portfolio. This brought about immense confusion in government operation, as the then Deputy President Dr. William Ruto was shoved aside, and instead the handshake regime stripped him most of his powers and office portfolio and transferred the same to a super CS, the then former Cabinet Secretary for the Interior Ministry Dr. Fred Matiang'i. Uhuru then decided to run government without consulting his deputy Dr. William Ruto, but rather now shifting focus to consulting Raila Odinga and Fred Matiang'i on important government issues. Today, the 16th of March 2023, the Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wa pointed out that Raila Odinga, who is now pointing fingers at the Kenya Kwanza regime on the high cost of living, is trying to cover up his theft of public funds by threatening to steer mass actions against the current regime, yet he cheered on as the last handshake administration was looting the Kenyan nation, terming him as a net beneficiary of the COVID, Telkom and the fuel subsidy heists.
On Tuesday, Raila convened a meeting with his party lawmakers, urging them to set aside their reservations and fully back the Financial Bill 2018, which introduced 8% tax on petroleum products. Even though the session was marred by acrimony, the bill was passed by legislators and has since been signed into law by President Uhuru Kenyatta.
We know the desperation for Mr. Odinga, besides the late realization that he may not have the energy and the stamina to run another election, is the desperation to cover up for the theft and outright looting of our economy under the last regime. And we want to promise Mr. Odinga, his sponsors, and his army of goons that the Kenya Kwanza administration, and least of all President William Ruto, shall not be intimidated by any means. The pursuit of those who looted our economy will continue unabated. Notwithstanding his demonstrations, it is Mr. Odinga who cheered on as the last handshake administration was looting this country dry. Yes. And because I said very soon we shall be naming these people, I want to state categorically that Mr. Raila Odinga was the net beneficiary of the COVID heist, of the fuel subsidy heist, of the Telkom heist,